So, guys, you can't fight truth. I mean, you cannot fight truth. Now, this headline says, Afe Babalola to withdraw defamation suit against Dele Farotimi. Nigerians, it don't happen. So finally, our Baba has succumbed, saying that he's going to withdraw this suit against Dele Farotimi. Yay! They know that they can't fight truth. They can't fight truth, but I think let this serve as a lesson to those who want to learn. Because there are things that are being done today in Nigeria, and you think nobody, because nobody is speaking and nobody is talking, that you keep covering up forever. One day, somebody will boldly come out to say it and let that heaven that will fall. That was actually what happened in this one, because it's not as if the case Mr. Dele Farotimi was even talking about is a recent thing, but it has been there, and he has watched, the corruption in the judiciary. Instead of getting better, the thing is getting worse. And at the time, he told himself, no, if I keep quiet, my children will ask me, what role did you play when you saw things going bad? And he felt, no, I have to at least put it into writing so that my children and others who care to know will read and know what is happening in Nigeria. So, guys, finally, Baba Afe said he is withdrawing the suit against Mr. Dele Farotimi. And according to this headline, he's saying that it was after the visit of the Oni of Ife, that he visited him on Sunday, being yesterday. And that was what led. Don't forget that people like Obasanjo, Peter Obi, and even Bishop of Sokoto State, Father Koka, also pleaded with him. But he said he finally accepted when this traditional leader came to meet him, that's the Oni of Ife, and talked to him about withdrawing this case. Because guess what? Who lost in this case? It's him. Mr. Dele Farotimi rather was celebrated by Nigerians and the international community. But I tell you that everything that played out has ended up leaving a dent on Afe Baba's name, because people who never knew him have come to read about him, especially the book where Mr. Dele Farotimi penned down all these things went viral in terms of sales. I mean, people bought this book to know what Mr. Dele Farotimi said, and you can see that Dele Farotimi has finally won. I'm going to allow you to listen to one of the things Mr. Dele Farotimi said when they were actually looking for him. I mean, at the initial time when this case was coming up. Just take a look for yourself.
They are not bambaing with Dele Farotimi. It's not me. If you're looking at me and you think I'm the one you are fighting, you don't kolo. In fact, all your intelligence is stupidity of the highest order. You are not fighting Dele Farotimi. Who am I? Who am I? Just like my mentor, Chiba Adebanjo, once told Abacha, one bullet. You don't need more than that, but God will give you two. And you and I know. Even your marabouts don't tell you. Now I know they hear. You are not fighting Dele Farotimi. Are too small. Money I not get with any one of you. I barely survive, and I thank God for His grace. I'm just a contented man. I'm not a wealthy man. I am blessed. But not be me on the fight. You are fighting God. If you don't know it before, make I tell on her. God is tired of all of your madness. Do you hear that? You are not fighting me. I don't have a God complex. That's not what I'm telling you. If you are so stupid that you can't get it into your stupid head, whether the ones with gray hairs or the ones that are bald-headed and stupid, you're not fighting me. It's not me. Who am I? Who you be? Where you go? Who I be? What time I take fight you? The one that has been busy running kitty kata kata from a kitty up and down the place. You want to carry me to do what? You go chop me if you carry me. When you are done carrying me, what would you do? You eat me. But before you go even catch me, you say go try. Do you understand? When I am properly required by law, I shall be there. None of honor. Let me be clear. You've hounded some people and they've taken into exile and gone nowhere. Me and we'll stay here together. This is the land of my birth. I will run nowhere for any one of you. The truth is sufficient as a weapon and it is sufficient as a shield. That is God. So be clear. You're not fighting Dele Farotimi. The day I step out of line, I then employ lies in my advocacy, in my fight against your decadent system, then you have an edge. But I told you years ago, the truth is the only silver bullet by which the monster called Nigeria might be killed. Let me be clear. I will never employ lies against you. I will never ever do anything for self-aggrandizement in my fight against you, but I will defeat you. In fact, you have been defeated. Each and every one of you. The truth is the one thing that you can never ever defeat. Go watch Leonidas and 300 again. You know why they could not defeat Leonidas? until treachery came, it's a narrow pass. Every time you argue against the truth, you lose. And for the traitors, those who come into the public space and speak as saints, pretending to champion the people's cause, even when you have betrayed their trust, I see you and I know you. I know your role. Yeah, I know your roles in this. You are already defeated. Keep that in mind. And know one thing as well. As sure as God liveth, you will also receive your judgment for what you have done with this country.
I have told the truth. The facts are inside the court's own records, notoriously. So if people are not happy with what I have said, that's their problem. But it's not about their person, it's about the situation, the system that has allowed such levels of abuse. We cannot have a system that regulates impunity and then that licenses men to act as though they are gods and citizens as serfs that they can simply trample upon their head and then use the courts to legitimize the evil. No.
So you are saying what you have inferred in this book to me looks like a frustration of a lawyer who has seen the worst case scenario of what could have happened in any justice system, even in hell, and you have said, look, anybody who goes to find justice in the Nigerian system is a sheer waste of time. Does that represent your position after all said and done?
To a very large extent, you are correct, but I need to, because there are nuances to these things as well. Number one, it will be disingenuous of me to suggest that it is the evils that I saw in the system that led me to walk away from legal practice. That will not be true. I had already decided I was leaving when I turned 50. What happened in this case happened, I think, in 2013. So it's a story that took, 2012, 2013 is a story that took almost 12 years to write. So even after it had happened, I remained in practice for, I think, another 5 years before retiring. So it wasn't because of this. But when it comes to the truthfulness of your assertion that I had become disenchanted with the capacity of the system to deliver anything of value, you are completely correct. It had become clear to me that the Nigerian judicial system is completely unfit for purpose. Look, United Nations Office for Drug and Crimes was very clear in his indictment of the Nigerian judicial system. He says it is corrupt, horribly corrupt. That is not me. It is now my own experience. You know, when you are talking in abstracts and you are talking about the corruption of the judiciary, you are still speaking abstractly. What I have done is to offer my own first-hand experience within the system. I have merely spoken to what I saw within the system, what I witnessed. So where the United Nations Office for Drug and Crime can speak generally and in broad terms, where Mr. Shofunde could speak about the Supreme Court having become perfunctory with his judgment. I'm quoting him. Supreme Court judgment has become perfunctory. This is not, those are not rabble rousers. You can say Dele Farotimi is not well, he's a rabble rouser. Those are not Dele Farotimi. Those are individuals and institutions to whom you can at least ascribe some measure of temper.
That there is a systemic corruption, inefficiency, lack of public trust in law enforcement and judicial processes in Nigeria, and you gave us some very far-reaching and personal experience as a practicing lawyer. In fact, what bothered me is the names that you dropped and the names you mentioned, which I know can put you into legal trouble, and which I know that you're a man of, you're a troublemaker yourself.
Let me explain something to you.
Yeah.
In law, the truth is an absolute defense against libel. Whether that libel is civil or criminal libel, the truth is an absolute defense. I challenge any one of them to dare to sue me, take me to that same court. The key reason why I felt myself compelled to write this book is the fact that I sought legal redress for the libel against me by one of the principal characters, and he used his clout in the judiciary to deny me the capacity to even question him in
these are
in court.
heavy.
So I said, okay,
These
no
are
problem.
weighty allegations. You have
They are not
accused
allegations, they
a
are
former
facts.
Solicitor General of Lagos State, Lawal Pedro, SAN. You have accused Baba Afe Babalola, SAN. You have accused a very prominent person in the judiciary also of compromise. In fact, you even mentioned the retired CGN Ariwola in some of your analysis in your book. These are weighty and heavy allegations against these personalities, don't you think?
Let me put it this way. I have been very, very deliberate about avoiding dealing with names and persons, because my fight in the Nigerian space is not against persons. It's about the decadent institution and the state itself. So whenever I have had to mention persons by name, it's been because it is completely unavoidable, and the truth and facts have to be established without looking at anybody's eyes, because all of us, we're just creatures in time. We will go eventually. Incidentally, my confidant and friend, who was chairman at the launch of the book, has passed on. Within less than 2 months of the book being launched. That shows you the transient nature. Yes, it shows you the transient nature of the life that we live. So if I say because I'm afraid of what a human being will do to me, or I'm afraid of how my professional colleagues or people might look at me when I have spoken the truth, what of when I'm dead? What happens then? So whilst I'm here, alive and well, and able to speak the truth that I've experienced and has been given to me to speak, it is not for me to look at the eyes of Uche, me, Woju Uche, whoever know like him. They are the legal gurus now. They know the road to court. I have every confidence in the capacity of the truth, both as a shield and as a sword. Every confidence. And having said that, I say this knowing that I have told the truth. The facts are inside the custom records, notoriously. So if people are not happy with what I have said, that's their problem. But it's not about their person, it's about the situation, the system that has allowed such levels of abuse. It is the system, not the persons. Persons will live and they will die. I will go one day just as each and every one of the persons I mentioned. But the system that allowed that kind of evil has to change. If this society is going to be one in which our children are going to be able to live with some level and measure of decency, we cannot have a system that regulates impunity and then that licenses men to act as though they are gods and citizens as serfs that they can simply trample upon their head and then use the courts to legitimize the evil. No.
So you are saying what you have inferred in this book to me looks like a frustration of a lawyer who has seen the worst case scenario of what could have happened in any justice system, even in hell. And you have said, look, anybody who goes to find justice in the Nigerian system is a sheer waste of time. Does that represent your position after all said and done?
To a very large extent, you are correct, but I need to, because there are nuances to these things as well. Number one, it would be disingenuous of me to suggest that it is the evils that I saw in the system that led me to walk away from legal practice. That would not be true. I had already decided I was leaving when I turned 50. What happened in this case happened, I think, in 2013. So it's a story that took, 2012, 2013 is a story that took almost 12 years to write. So even after it had happened, I remained in practice for, I think, another 5 years before retiring. So it wasn't because of this. But when it comes to the truthfulness of your assertion that I had become disenchanted with the capacity of the system to deliver anything of value, you're completely correct. It had become clear to me that the Nigerian judicial system is completely unfit for purpose. Look, United Nations Office for Drug and Crimes was very clear in his indictment of the Nigerian judicial system. He says it is corrupt, horribly corrupt. That is not me. It is now my own experience. You know, when you are talking in abstracts and you are talking about the corruption of the judiciary, you are still speaking abstractly. What I have done is to offer my own first-hand experience within the system. I have merely spoken to what I saw within the system, what I witnessed. So where the United Nations Office for Drug and Crime can speak generally and in broad terms, where Mr. Shofunde could speak about the Supreme Court having become perfunctory with his judgment. I'm quoting him. Supreme Court judgment has become perfunctory. This is not, those are not rabble rousers. You can say Dele Farotimi is not well, he's a rabble rouser. Those are not Dele Farotimi. Those are individuals and institutions to whom you can at least ascribe some measure of temperance, unlike me. So that's what it is. It became tiring and it became important to set the record straight and let Nigeria be confronted with a mirror showing it is like judiciary should see its own identity and be forced to change itself. It's a society-wide thing. But if the judiciary is lost, what is left of the society?
So you have officially and permanently left the legal practice.
Oh,
and you're
yes,
not open to return.
Never. I left legal practice in 2018 when I turned 50. I left and I announced it to the whole world. I left my practice. I said bye-bye to it. I found my living in other ways. I tried my best to find other living. But I left law practice completely. I found satisfaction in it because of what is happening there. Like I said, even before I was ever called to the Nigerian bar, even when I was yet in the university, I'd already told all my friends that once I turn 50, I'll find other things to do with my life. I wasn't coming to practice to discover that the Nigerian legal system is horrible. No. I'm a member of this society. I didn't need to enter the law practice to find out that the law practice and the legal system is decadent. It is the same as every other aspect of our society. Every strata of our society is decayed, including the press. So this is not one where anybody gets to point fingers. It is a society-wide collapse. But I decided I was leaving. Let me find other living. I'd been farming since maybe like 20-something years ago. I find other ways to earn a living and to live my life without the stress of saying my Lord and my lady to people that I know, your worship, your honor to people who are less than honorable. I'm done with all of that.
But it's okay to still call you a lawyer.
At the end of the day, whether you are fixed, retired, former, at the end of the day, I'm defined by my legal training. When I was taking the decision to read law, it was based on the understanding that I'm living in a lawless society, but it was necessary to understand the law so that I'll know the part where I have to bend or where I have to avoid. So I'm a lawyer for the rest of my life, but just not a practicing one. I'm retired.
And so I'm going to the nitty-gritty of what you wrote in your book, which I may not be able to pick on every character or every experience that you have. But there is one that seems to have touched you and you became so emotional in the use of your language in this book. You describe the situation, historical factors, socio-political dynamics, and economic disparities, which you think have contributed to the dysfunction system we have within the Nigerian judiciary. You have argued that these challenges not only hinder effective law enforcement but also undermine the protection of citizens' rights, leading to a cycle of impunity and justice. You particularly took on personalities. And a very revered legal icon, Afe Babalola, you accused him of corrupting the Supreme Court. You accused him of libel. And you accuse him of leveraging his influence in the judiciary to deny you justice. You made reference to a particular case. And you also dragged the likes of Mr. Pedro SAN in all of this argument. What exactly was the situation? And how can you defend what you have alleged in this book?
Like I have strived to explain, I am dealing with institutions and principalities within institutions. That I have had to deal with persons is, by the way, they are collateral to my preoccupation. Now, anything I have said in relation to any one of them, I am perfectly happy to defend myself before any court of law, anywhere in the world. And the fact of the truth that I have told, they are all in the public space, they are in the public record, they are before the courts. I have not written this book to scandalize or to make money. In actual fact, every kobo derived from this book already pledged and donated to a foundation for autistic children. This is not for gain. But the truth is the truth is the truth. And it must be told without caring about names or reputations. If I have lied against persons, they are lawyers. As you said, Baba is the legal igu in Nigeria. They are the ones who planted the judiciary that we have today. And I know, and they know what they did in the case under reference. And the fact of what they did, the malfeasance, is before the court. They can't even, I don't even have to produce a single piece of paper. Everything is in the public space.
But it seems that person so revered as Are Afe Babalola,
yes.
It looks that you are impugning that image, that reputation built over the years. And I'm asking you to substantiate. Tell Nigerians on this platform what exactly was the case. How did he deny you justice through the system?
Sheon,
Mr.
I wrote a book deliberately setting out the facts. I have also been very deliberate in my presentation and speaking about the book since I wrote it, to make sure that nobody is able to say that I have written the book with the intention of scandalizing persons. When I said Are Afe Babalola denied me justice, I laid out the substance of my allegation in the book that I have written. If I begin to deal with the nuts and bolts of it on your podcast or in the press, that's why you've never seen me tweet any part of the allegation or speak about it publicly. I've put it in a book. That is deliberate. It will outlive me and them. It is not beer parlor talk. It is me putting my words in writing. It is indelible. Nobody can touch it again. Before that book was written, my major prayer was that Are Afe Babalola should live to read that book, or at least have somebody read it to him, or at least have somebody tell him about it so that he's able to rebut, and nobody is going to turn around later on and claim that, why didn't you say this when he was alive? In actual fact, that was why I sued him in his lifetime, so that there would be a record that I challenged him with the facts when he was alive. And thanks to God, the God who has given all of us life, he has preserved him as he has preserved me. Are Afe Babalola is alive and well. He is well able to challenge the facts as I have laid them out. So when I say that he denied me justice, even you who has read the book, let me just say this. How do you explain that the person who was the chairperson at my wedding was the judge, the chairperson at my wedding, who has not talked to me and has kept a distance and been very malicious towards me since 2003? She has never had a word to say to me. That was the person, my very first employer as a lawyer. That was the judge that the case was assigned to. My case against Afe Babalola was assigned to that judge.
And you think that you couldn't have gotten justice?
How could I possibly have gotten justice from a judge who hadn't spoken to me, who was chairperson at my wedding, who was the first person to ever employ me?
And that would imagine that kind of person would be in your favor, not against you.
I didn't need anyone to be in my favor. But as I said in the book, the moment the case was assigned to her, I called the former head of chamber and told him, see, they've assigned my case to this woman. If I write a letter demanding that the case be removed, it will be construed as me being malicious. I'll leave it, since she's not the substantive judge. She's meant to be the, I can't remember what they call those things. When you file a case, first it goes to a judge before it goes to trial. She was just meant to just take the preliminary issues. But she killed the case before it even went. That's another story, and it's been told. See, justice must not only be done, it must be seen to have been done. She adjourned to rule on a preliminary objection. We wrote 2 letters to the court to find out when the ruling will be delivered, and copied her first chamber. Nobody ever responded. 9 months after her adjournment, she delivered the ruling without even informing us. We just happened to be in court for something else, and we realized that she had delivered her ruling without ever informing us. I have provided look, my own is this. Before the book was written, I was pressured. I was under a lot of personal pressure that I must write this book and it must be in the public space, because none of us will live forever. Now I have written this book. Those who feel aggrieved by the book should do me the favor of suing me. I have not whispered in a beer parlor. I did not talk in some back room somewhere. I have written a book. It is in the public domain. If they are aggrieved, let them go to court. Maybe everybody, they tell us in Nigeria, go to court. Okay. Okay, so me, I'm saying to them as well, go to court.
But you have not still told me on this platform, and perhaps a lot of my audiences who have not read the book, what did Are Afe Babalola do to you?
You are making this sound like some personal grievance between myself and Are Afe Babalola. I'm saying it is not personal. I'm saying that Are Afe Babalola corrupted the judiciary. And in corrupting the judiciary, it came across my practice. When I came across it, I challenged it as a lawyer and I fought it to the point where he could not enjoy the fruit of his exertion in the Supreme Court. In writing the letter that he wrote to the then Chief Justice of Lagos State, Ayomide Philip, he libeled me. He suggested that I should be derobed, that what I had done was deserving of sanction, and I should have been struck off the bar. And when I saw this, knowing what I already knew of what he did, I wrote a letter asking that he would withdraw that letter that he had written that was like bellows of me. And he declined. Arrogantly so, he declined. And I sued him for libel. And when I sued for libel, the machines of corruption went into overdrive. And a case that should never have been killed at the penal stage was killed. Everything about the case, the judge to whom it was assigned, the manner of the handling of the case, 9 months after it was adjourned for ruling. 9 months. The procedures are clear. It shouldn't be longer than 3 months. 9 months without informing us, in spite of the fact that we had written 2 letters to request to be told when the ruling will be delivered. So, and then the ruling went as far as to say that, look, so there are some things that should not be reduced to person. This has nothing to do with persons. If Are Afe Babalola was the only person who is licensed to enjoy that level of impunity, that's different. It's not about him. It's a system-wide problem. You simply can't get justice from the system. When I spoke about him and the others, they are merely as examples. He has nothing to do with persons. I don't know him as a person beyond what I have described. I think I've only ever set my eye on him once in my entire life. I described it in the book. It was at Itro Terminal 5. That was the only time I ever saw him in my life, and it was before this occurrence. So it's nothing personal. But if persons have perpetrated evil and they have reinforced it and built a system that is as patently evil as the one in which we are living, it becomes the duty of the conscious. If you are conscious of that evil, you must speak against it. If you don't speak against it, you are helping to normalize it. So when the United Nations is speaking about corruption in the Nigerian system, when a judge is appointing his son, his daughter-in-law, when the entire system becomes as prebendal as it has become, it becomes easy for persons to influence things within the system to the detriment of those who should be citizens. So I'm not speaking about persons. I love to speak about persons. But when I am compelled to speak about persons in relation to their impact on the system and as types, I have no choice. I have no choice. It is whether what I have said is the truth or not. That should be what counts. It's not about the person. I don't care about names. I don't care about whether the person is 100 years old or 10 years old. It is about what level of respect have you earned. What is the value of the life you have lived?
Do you think that there is some kind of cultic arrangement within the legal profession that drags the judiciary by the jugular, such that there are some persons within the legal profession that get justice the way they want? Because in some of your explanation, it does look like there is a class of lawyers or a class of persons within the Nigerian legal practice that gets whatever they want in the courtrooms.
The Nigerian judiciary is not different from any other aspect of our society. What you find is that, okay, look at Ariwola, for instance. A man is the Chief Justice of the Federation. He makes his son a judge of the Federal High Court. He makes his daughter-in-law a judge of the Federal Court of Federal Capital Territory. He makes his brother Auditor General, Auditor of the Nigerian Judicial Council. Another family member became a judge of the Court of Appeal. When you have these egregious abuses of the Judicial Code of Conduct, when families, when they have more or less turned judicial appointment into a family inheritance, when it is the girlfriends and wives of politicians that become judges and justices, what you find is a replication of what you have in the police, in the custom, and in every other aspect of our society. So it is not as if there is a special court in the judiciary or at the bar. No, not necessarily. It's the same Nigerian factor of not holding people responsible for their actions, of a system that is not designed to enforce the rule of law. It is that same system that you are seeing at work in the judiciary. It is just that its effect on the judiciary is by far more ruinous than everywhere else, because the illusion of justice has been eroded. There is no longer any illusion that there is justice. Everybody now knows that you are not going to get justice from. How do you expect to get justice from a court that is constantly doing all kinds of somersaults? So it's not about a court somewhere. If there is one, I'm unaware. But I do know that with every other Nigerian thing, when some people have conquered a space as though it were to be a territory, you then find a succession of their children, their friends and assigns being placed in offices, and the person who has appointed you, to a very large extent in a prebendal system, gets to dictate what you do. So we've managed to evolve a judicial system that works to deliver justice to the poor and to the rich and powerful, but only judgment gets to the poor.
So guys, you have seen it. These are the things we are saying about keeping your hands straight. Keeping your hands straight. Like Peter Obi is the only politician I know who has come out to say you can't find dent. I mean, you can't find dent. You can imagine the position that Peter Obi is now as an opposition. If Tinubu has his way, I mean, not even if Tinubu had, from the time of Buhari, they must have used EFCC to search and search and search to see if they will see anything against Peter Obi. Do you think Peter Obi is just carrying himself like somebody who didn't steal for nothing? They must have done research. I mean, search and search to see where Anambra State money was missing. But like Peter Obi will always say, go and ask Anambra people if any of their money is missing. Go and ask them. He saw the money. Other governors, when they are going, they take everything. The new government will come to start from scratch. Look at what Alex Oti is going through in Abia State. They left arrears. Pensioners were not paid. Teachers were not paid. Retired people, all kinds of money, running in billions, hundreds of billions. That is what Alex Oti has started paying. And in case you don't know, you may have seen headlines saying people are on strike for unpaid arrears and salaries. Is what the previous government accumulated. For those working under Alex Oti, they are being paid. But those that they be owing, I mean, accumulated debt by the previous administration. How many of them that came and went, they end up living debt. Alex Oti is the only one cleaning it up now. And these are the things we keep saying, you know. Nigeria is a place where politicians can do anything and get away with it. Nobody goes after them. And that's just the problem. Because you can imagine if the government can really go after all those previous governors. Many of them now in APC. You know, the former governor of Abia State, he is in PDP, but because he's a very close ally to Wike, he's protected. All Jews of Carlo is now in APC. And just check them. They have one link or the other with the APC. They cannot be probed. They can't be probed. And we've seen Ganduje, the man from Kanu State, who stole, and we saw that video where we're told that he was bribed. You know, he was bribed. And today, Tinubu made him the APC chairman. From APC chairman, he's going to be heading FAN, that is an aviation body. You know, he's going to be the chairman. From one promotion to the other. But Nigerians who are working hard, who are the one putting in all their energy, they are being ignored, they are being neglected. That is why, see, we shouldn't cover corruption in this country. So, guys, finally, Mr. Dele Farotimi has been vindicated. As Baba Afe withdraws defamation suit against Dele Farotimi. This is a very big news. So, Dele Farotimi has won. Victory at last. Dele Farotimi vindicated. Afe Baba withdraws case from court. We are so happy. that at least Dele Farotimi has opened the eyes of people and has also sent a very strong message to the powers that be that you are committing. One day you'll be exposed on an international platform. The internet is now an international platform where you post, everybody sees it. The big, the small, the mighty, the tall, the short, everybody sees your corruption. So these leaders should better be careful. Let me know what you have to say about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can recommend it to others, and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.